Hey guys, Matty, it's the Broken Supercoach checking in with some teams, and you'll have to just ignore that with some teams there. Teams that dropped, so I thought I'd drop it tonight. Got a little bit on tomorrow. We'll also go through the trades because it's pretty interesting stuff, and if you're watching this the next morning, then so be it. But that's cool. I'll throw it up here tonight. So we've had, obviously the big news is Gorm was injured. That was last week, so everyone had already traded him. A lot of people getting on Luke Jackson at R1. Tempting, really tempting stuff, especially considering he's named as a ruck. I got English Cameron Witts. Obviously, English we'll see down the bottom. What do you do with him? Are you bringing in Luke Jackson because you can play him in both areas, and he's a fine F6 after a period of time? I don't mind that. I really don't mind that at all. And it's pretty decent actually when you think about it the most. I'm still umming and ahhing about what I'll do because I've got the English predicament as well. No big outs here. Zorko injured. I assume nobody had him. He did have that DPP, but he just wasn't relevant enough, in the Gorn one. So that'll be tonight's game. So tomorrow you'll have see how that panned out. We'll have seen how Luke Jackson goes. Sadly, if you're in the position where you've got English in your ruck and you've now got Teakle sitting there, and you don't really have much forward cover, then, or you don't even have English and you're looking for another ruck, then Luke Jackson's probably you go for value. So a bit looking here, these guys are West Coast rather are slowly just naming their real team. That's like this. So they're starting to name their real team. So they're starting to look stronger. They're starting to look better. Will Jai Cully come in? I don't know if you want a 102k option. If you needed a 102k option, the guy this week is Massimo D'Ambrosio. I think that's the one. In my first video this week, I used D'Ambrosio. I traded to D'Ambrosio to get Mills in, cover English for a week with McCartan, Dacos out. So that's something you can do if you need a 100k player. I think he's the best one. He's playing, so it makes sense. He's a defender as well, which is nice. Not that you need the defender because we've got Ware in that line, but it's good to have two playing defenders anyway, because you don't have much flexibility with defense anywhere else. Whereas I've also got McCartan, so I probably don't need D'Ambrosio. If you keep him McCartan, you probably don't need D'Ambrosio. Although getting him there is used as a trade anyway. So English is out with a concussion. 12 days is the protocol. That was announced, Wednesday, Tuesday. So he'll play next week, even though the game's on a Thursday, assuming he recovers fine. But it's a case of, do you want to take? He now needs to outscore whoever you bring in by a fair bit, I've got McCartan covering, so he needs to outscore whoever comes in instead of him, if that makes sense, by a good margin. And he needs to do it over a pretty short period. And if he gets injured once more, then that's an issue. And it does seem like and also his scoring is trash. So I'm going to really think about trading him out this week and then having a look at him again later when I need to if I need to trade Darcy Cameron towards the end of the year. So I'm thinking that's what I might do, and hold Dacos and get rid of McCartan. And not take a 100k rookie. Still Mills, still Dacos. Yeah. Anyway. And then Connor McDonald back in. Nothing relevant here. So when we're going through these teams, there's really not going to be a lot to go through because there's trades. I may not do these videos for the rest of the year after the trades are done because there really is nothing. Unless there's some big news, we'll announce it sort of going through. We'll try to think of something else that we can run through. Because most people are hitting full premium now, and if you're not, get full premium. Josh Honey, what's he? 200k forward, yeah, rightio. Nothing worth looking at there. Then, don't even need to name him. You just want to look. Sean Darcy named. There's something. Nat 5's an interesting one. He should get forward status in round 18, which would be really interesting if he's putting out decent scores. So it could be a chance. If you've got a spare trade later, you do Luke Jackson. Perhaps if you've got enough trades in round 18, you jump on Nat 5, you slot, another ruckman up. So could be a go. For me, I could look at him, Darcy Cameron. I could look at, if I'm doing Luke Jackson, I could keep Luke Jackson, do Darcy Cameron for Nat 5 later. That's my original plan. Dusty's back. Nothing to talk about with these guys. We just want to see Tom Stewart named here. That's cool. Richmond, no one's got anything with Richmond. Cool that Maurice Rioli's in. That's cool. We held him. He's making money. Doesn't matter. We just got scores in 2 positions. Fine. Short named in the middle. I hate this. Just want him to play half back again. So, with Dusty back, does that help Short play half back a bit more? Let's hope so, because we need him to score, because I can't trade him. He's one that I have to stick with. Jack Steele is back, so if you're a Crouch owner, you really want to take a look at how this works out for you, because the reason I was going to bring Brad Crouch in last week was because he was going off without Steele. But then, Steele was 1 to 2 weeks away. Here he is now back in. You're going to want to make sure. I'd monitor Brad Crouch if I owned him. Definitely I'll monitor if you own him. If he drops anything less than, if he drops anything concerning this week, or if he has a couple of quiet quarters, I don't know how he usually scores, but you'd know as an owner, if you start to see something different, if you start to see Jack Steele taking that role back away from him and him being the number 2 mid, then get on it, get him out. And you know what? I reckon you can almost just go Crouch to Steele in one move if you've got a little bit of cash. So it's not the worst trade. Crouch will probably break even for you, and then Steele probably loses a bit of money, and then bang, you swap them over if you think that's the way to go. So nothing here. Degoe, personal reason, yeah, righto. What do we have here? Nothing to really talk about. Obviously, Dacos is still playing, is he, Nick Dacos? I'll probably trade him. I always struggle to find our man, Nick Dacos. Is he even playing? Yeah, there he is. There he is. Right. Yeah. Named all over the field, this bloke. Whether I trade him or not doesn't matter, which would be hilarious if I don't trade him in the end after all the money he made, and I've just kept him for depth all season. That's hilarious. But, that's how it's been this year for money and how much trades we've had. Where named, should play. Not fast. Cogs named a half forward. Hate to see that. Harry Himmelberg's one that a lot of people are talking about. With Lockie Keith, he's been playing ruck. So, with Lockie Keith named here, it's another really interesting one. Bruce obviously suspended. I don't mind Harry Himmelberg at F6 either. I think it's too risky for me, but I don't mind it. But I think I prefer Luke Jackson over Himmelberg, but I don't hate Himmelberg in F6, especially if he keeps that role. I just don't have the time. And when they're naming guys like Briggs, you start to get a little bit scared, because then they start putting in guys. They start playing actual ruckman, and Himmelberg goes back to 60 a game. So that's the concern for me. Himmelberg, this one, the real one. In that role, great. West Coast scored a lot of goals, I think. And then here, this is his normal scoring. So, just be prepared for him to have to trade him out really fast. All right, go down. We got the Crows. Nothing here to really worry about. North, nothing to worry about here. Nobody has any North players. So there's not a lot to talk about there. So this is the big one. Bryn Teakle's out till round 23, and Butters is out for ages. If you trade it down to Teakle, then you can't trade him back out. Like you can't. You have to just accept that he's a dead spot on your ruck, and just hope that your rucks don't go down. So you just have to think about that, which is another reason why I would probably hold English, because if a ruck goes down, Teakle's not covering me. So I need to be able to switch between a ruck forward, which is why Jackson's another good choice as well. And Jackson should outscore English over the next couple of weeks, just purely because he plays this game and English doesn't. Hollands keeps getting named. Probably might play, actually, unless Rosas comes in. Jeffrey was the replacement for Rosas and now back that way. So maybe that's the way. Will Power, brutal injury, that one. Butters out as well. He's only 1 to 2 weeks, but I'd be happy to trade him as well. If it gets you to Bond, do it. If you have reasonable coverage, whatever you want to do. You might have other issues with Teakle. Say you got Butters and English, you're in a bit of strife. You probably have to trade one. You have to choose which one, basically. But if Butters gets you to Bond, then do that straight away, because if it's 2 weeks of Bond, but there's no shot that Butters keeps up. Same thing with English. I'll say the same about Butters. If you trade out Butters for Bont this week and then Butters is out for 2 weeks and Bont drops 240 points in those 2 weeks, Bont does rather, Butters will not make that back. I can guarantee it. In the next 6 rounds or whatever it is, Butters does not outscore Bont by 240 points. So it's a pretty open and shut case, really. But it depends who Butters gets you. If Butters can get you to Cornelio, same story. If Butters is your last forward and it's someone like Heaney or Luke Jackson or Himmelberg, then maybe hold off on Butters and see if you get your cover. So yeah, nothing really to worry about here. Again, we're just looking at guys named in their positions. Who cares? Took Miller, what a shame. And that's all the games. How are we looking? So there's a couple of choices where I've got 17 minutes to do it. If I do Luke Jackson. So it'd be English to Jackson. And it would be obviously McCartan into Mills. Mills is always going to be my player, so I don't need to worry about that. It's just if I do English to Jackson, and the more I think about it, the more I want to do it. So if I hit that, and then we hit this, and then we just send Rioli down, because that's where he sits, and we just get 1 mid in. The mid's obviously Mills. I've committed to Mills. That's just a fact. It doesn't get me any... Going to Walsh saves me money, I think. It doesn't matter. I could go Libba. In fact, why did that have to happen to me? You go to average. If I get Walsh, if that gets me Libba, why does that have to do that? All right, new plan, boys. We're going English and McCartan to Walsh and Libba. But I can think about that till tomorrow because I don't have to go Jackson. So I can see Jackson for one more, and if I really like Jackson and I want to do something crazy, then I won't trade English. But boy, I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter if I don't do it. If I see Jackson first, it's just about the flex. If Jackson panned out, then I'll be angry and I won't trade English because I want to hold English out of spite. So, geez, that's the one almost for me. Libba and Walsh. And that gets me off of Mills, who you guys know how I feel about Mills. And I did actually say at the start of the year that I'd never get Mills in my team. And then I traded him in at the start of the week. So everyone who's watched this channel for any amount of time understands that I really hate Mills, just because he screwed me over 1 year, last year. Oh, what about Steele? What's his price? $5.90. Can I do Steele and so I can do Steele and Libba as well. So that's another one that I really like. But I think it's going to be Walsh. But Steele would be a sick pod. But he's still in 6% of teams. People held Steele for that long. I think that's people who just aren't playing anymore. Walsh I like. Demands the footy. 164 break even. Doesn't really matter. But 100. Yeah, I do like Walsh. I like his longevity. I like that he plays some pretty decent teams going back. I have a bit more faith in him than I do Walsh. And that allows me to go Libba, who I do like. I really like Libba, in fact. So, Libba at 547. Doesn't give me any spare money. He needs another one. You could go. I don't really care for that. Don't like this. Don't like this. And that's the main issue. And then what about Rux? What does 555 get me? Yeah, so I could go. I could do Dacos and get Sean Darcy, but I'm not going to do that either because I just don't trust the Darcy plays. Like, look at these holes in his 59. Yeah, I just don't trust him. Much as I'd love to see him. This guy's back in a couple of weeks, so we'll think about that. Anyway, that's me ahhing for a while. Probably not a very productive video, but yeah, Walsh and Libber, I think just sounds like it makes way too much sense, honestly. We're not going to do it, obviously, but Jackson for me, the reason I don't like, I should give a little spiel. I've just spoken about why I think Jackson's nice. The reason I don't really like Jackson is he's not a proven scorer. And you're trying to get full premium. You're paying $3.79 for your last guy. It's not that impressive. There's no, I mean, for all we know, Gorn comes back in 2 weeks, and now you've got a bloke averaging 70 on your main ruck line. I don't like it. Just don't like it. If you got the trades to do it, then maybe give it a go. I personally am not gonna entertain it. Anyway, thanks guys. Oh, captains. Not choosing anyone tonight. McRae and Laird for me. That's the one that makes the most sense. Cheers.